everyone, and welcome back to the Chromatic Knits Podcast. My name is Michelle, and this is my place on the internet where I talk about all of my yarny adventures. As you can see, I have some friends here with me today. I have Nugget over here in the chair. I have Luna, who's our friend's dog, and I have Aria here as well. I can't quite see her. There we go. So, a little bit of a menagerie. So in case you see some animals in the picture, that's who they are. Those are the characters for the day. Because they all have to be where I am, right? Isn't that how it goes? Today has been a full day. Just got back from swimming, so my hair's still wet. Trying out a new microphone, so we'll see if this works. We'll see if this makes it any better. And I have some things to talk about today. The splash pad party over at Downseller Studios. I have Nuggets going over there. I have a couple FOs to show, and I have some WIPS and some exciting things coming up for the channel this summer, so stick around. And for those of you who are new here, welcome. For those of you who've been here for a while, welcome back. Hi Luna, I know, you just want some love. We have some new people on the channel, so that's very exciting, and I hope to grow this channel even more. So, very exciting stuff going on. As far as Splash Pad Party, which I sort of brought up, that is run by a Jen, also known as Boston Jen, on social media, who runs the Downseller Studio podcast. So she has videos on YouTube, and she also has an audio podcast on any podcasting app that you use. So whether it's the Apple Podcast app or any other podcast app that you use, it's generally on there. So you can check that out. And Splash Pad, so she's really known for her pigskin party, which is during football season. During that time, you're put on a team, and then you and your team compete, essentially, by doing the most projects, completing the most projects, and having the highest yardage of any other team. So you compete to win prizes and different things, and then every time you enter a project in, you earn an entry, and then there's sponsors, and there's all kinds of different things that you can do. The Splash Pad Party has some aspects of that, but it's not as intense. So it's a good kind of jumping off, and it's shorter, and the yardage is less. So, for example, in the Splash Pad Party, the number of yards used is between 50 and 200. You can go over that, but you'll only get credit for a maximum of 200 per project. And you can lump things together. So say, for example, I knit a bunch of dishcloths. I could put those together as one project and get the most yardage out of that. And then you get one entry to win a prize at the end of it per 50 grams that you knit up during the Splash Pad Party. So during that, you fill out a form for every time you finish an object. You fill out a form, and you include a picture of the object, and then you get credit for the yardage that you use, and then you accumulate yardage, and then they also have a leaderboard where it shows the top people who've completed projects. So I just signed up. You can still sign up if you're interested, if that's something that you like doing. They do have sponsors, so they have different levels of sponsors. They have a snack sponsor, and then they have the official sponsors. So you get a certain amount of additional entries to win prizes at the end by using those sponsors, and they have all kinds of different things. So they have everything from bags to yarn to notions. So they have a variety of different things. So if you are like me and you already have a huge stash and you don't want to buy yarn, but you are interested in a bag or a progress keeper or whatever it is, you can definitely get those items, and then you can use them for additional entries as you go through the Splash Pad Party. I think there are rules as to how many times you can claim those items, and if you can use them multiple times. So, for example, you can use a bag multiple times. You just can't claim it at the same time as another project. So say that you use a project bag for, let's say just a pair of socks, for example, and you finish the pair of socks before the splash pad party's over and you use it for another pair of socks and you finish that pair of socks, you can claim the bag twice. So there's different rules for different things and different levels of sponsors, so definitely go check those out. When you go on her Ravelry group, which is where you go to sign up, again, it's Downsellers Studio Group. You'll go to Splash Pad Party, and there's a thread that's called Splash Pad Party Start Here that has the rules, that has the sign up sheet, and has the list of sponsors. So it has everything all in one place. Jen does an amazing job of making sure that everything is nice and organized. So you can check that all out there. And then they will usually in about a day or two, they'll add you to the leaderboard list. So they'll just put you in, alphabetical order. So it just started at the end of May and it goes through the end of July. So it goes through July 31st. So you are allowed to do WIPS, but you can only claim the yardage that you knit on it during the splash pad party. So if it's, say that you have like a blanket and you only have like 50 grams worth left to go on the end of it, like you can't claim the entire blanket. You can just claim what you did during the actual splash pad party dates. Does that make sense? So yeah, definitely go check that out. She has some good stuff on her channel about it as well. Again, her channel is Boston Jen. You can find her on social media as Boston Jen, and you can find her on Ravelry as Downseller Studios, and you can find her on YouTube as the Downseller Studios, and on podcasts as Downseller Studios podcast. So you can check her out there and get more information about the splash pad party, who the different sponsors are, and the different things that are going on with it. So there are no teams for splash pad party. Unlike pigskin party, you do have teams. Splash pad party, you don't. It's individual, and it's only a little bit over 2 months. So it's very short compared to the pigskin party, which is like 6 months or 5 months or whatever it is. All of football season. So the splash pad party is just that. It's just splash, just like a splash, just a little bit. But it is something fun, especially if you're looking for an alternative, because I know that Crazy Sock Lady has kind of dialed back her summer sock camp. So she's not having, cabins this year. She's just having a general conversation thread, and she's not keeping track as much of who's doing what. It's just a basic knit along instead of a competition. So if you're more of a competitive person and you like the idea of a competition, I would definitely check out the Splash Pad Party. It is free to enter, and it is, you can get as many entries as you can to win a prize at the end of it. So definitely go check that out if that's something that you're interested in at all. So like I said, I just signed up, so feel free to check that out. I will try to link that down below so that you can get a hold of it. In case you aren't used to it, keep in mind it is a Ravelry link. So in case you are having issues with Ravelry, because I know some people don't like using Ravelry still, just be aware that it will be a Ravelry link. Okay, so let's talk about some finished objects and some knitting. We're almost 10 minutes in. So first thing, I finished my Juliet shawl. The Juliet shawl is by, let me get this right. It is by Corey Purdom. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. I will put a picture of it up here because I don't have it anymore. It was a birthday present for my mom, which has been shipped out because her birthday is this week. So I wanted to make sure that it got to her in time. This shawl I knit out of Cascade Pima cotton in the gray colorway. It is a very affordable yarn, very soft. I loved knitting with it, would highly recommend. And it was only $7 per 50 gram ball on Eat Sleep Knit. So it's very affordable as well. And perfect because my mom lives in Florida where it's hot all the time. And just having something that's wool, because I've made her a wool shawl before and she loved it. But now she lives when she was living in Wisconsin, but now she lives in Florida where it's like a gajillion degrees all the time. So I wanted to make her something out of more of a natural fiber, out of a plant fiber. So I went with the Cascade Pima cotton for that one, and I hope she likes it. I also made it very lacy. I wanted a very lacy pattern because, again, she's not going to be using this shawl for warmth. She's going to be using it as an accessory. So I wanted to make sure it was nice and airy and lacy and light. And I did make the smallest size. So what you see in the picture is the smallest size. There is another size that's a little bit longer. And then there's the large size, which is like twice as big. And you can see the pictures of it on the project pages as well as on the pattern page. There are several pictures of the shawl there. I did block it out, as you can see in the picture, and it did block out really well. There are a couple of errors in it, but it's fine. She, A, won't notice, and B, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. Because there's going to be, that's, the beauty of making something handmade, right? Like, there's going to be an error in it somewhere, and it's because you're making it handmade. It's not made by a machine. It's made by a human. So we are going to make mistakes, but it wasn't big enough where I felt the need to, like, rip it out and do it again. So, but yeah, so it came out really well. Really liking it the way it came out, and again, I shipped it off for her birthday. So that one is gone. The next finished objects that I have are, I've been knitting some more dishcloths. So really liking this. This I'm using loops and threads in their cotton. And this originally was a 200-gram ball. It's really affordable. I think I got it at either Joann or Michael's online, most likely. And I really like this colorway. It's like teals and blues and whites. It's really cool. I really like it. And I'm knitting these for one of my friends. So it starts out with kind of this tan color and then goes into this like white and then the blue stripes. And then, yeah, I haven't woven in the ends. Just deal with it. It's fine. And then the teal into the blue and then the dark blue. Again, as always, I'm using Grandma's Favorite dishcloth pattern. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I don't know if you can find it other places, but I'm sure you can. I'm sure it's on like Pinterest or something. And there are several different versions. Like, there's several different people who've posted this pattern on Ravelry, and it's the same thing. Basically, it's just one form of increase, and then you get to 44 stitches, and then you decrease until you get back to 4 stitches, and then you're done. So those are my finished objects for this episode. So 2 dishcloths and a shawl. I'm going to call that good. So as far as works in progress go, I made a little bit of progress on my Slipstravaganza blanket. So I'm working on the border. So I finished 2 more of the black rose and the white rose, which doesn't seem like a lot when you just look at like the actual, like an inch. But when you're doing almost 900 stitches per round, and each colored row is 2 rounds each, so that's like 8 rounds total. That's a lot of stitches and took me like basically an entire day of knitting to finish. So just trying to keep a little bit of progress going on this at a time so that it doesn't just sit and not get finished. So slow and steady wins the race. This is a pattern by Stephen West. If you haven't been here for very long, it is massive, and I am doing the large size of the blanket. So it is coming along nicely, and it's an easy project to do while I'm working, which is another great thing about it, because although it looks really impressive, it's very easy. It's just slip stitches, and easily memorizable. So that, because when I'm working, so I work in a call center basically, and So I have to be ready for a call at any time. But then I have this like dead time between calls. So I use that time to A, catch up on knitting podcasts, and B, to knit. So, but it has to be something that I can just drop, I can just put down at any time and pick back up, and I'm not going to have an issue getting lost in the pattern. So, things like color work are out, anything that's going to be too complicated or that's going to take too much brain space, like that lace shawl, keeping track of what row I'm on, doing something that, is very mindless and very repetitive. I can do that during the day while I'm working and while I'm in meetings and those types of things. So, um, so that's the type of project that I'm kind of leaning toward right now, just because of, I spend most of my time during the week working. Unfortunately, my working to not working time during the week is mostly working because the rest, and I don't count the time that I'm sleeping because doesn't count because you're unconscious. You can't do anything. Unfortunately, I haven't learned how to sleep and knit at the same time. If that is a thing, I would love to be able to do that. Even though I'm sure I would make all kinds of mistakes, like if I was not paying attention to what I was doing. But like if I could just do like a garter stitch like blanket or something, I would have so many of those. Like that would be amazing. Oof, goals. Anyway, I digress. So, first WIP, Slipstravaganza Blanket by Stephen West. I am looking at doing some of his other blankets, and you will see another one of them in just a few minutes. Talking about blankets, though, I am crazy and have another blanket on the needles. This is oh look, it looks super familiar to anybody who's been here before. Yeah, that's right. I'm knitting another Habitation Throw by Helen Stewart because it's just garter stitch and it's nice. And I had a kit for it. I bought 2 kits because I bought a kit and then I forgot that I bought a kit and I bought another kit. So I ended up with 2 kits. So this one's going to be for my cousin. The first one I made was for my niece. This one's going to be for my second cousin's daughter. So whatever that is. Third cousin, second cousin once removed. I don't know. Whatever that is. So this is going to be for her. And I do have my little rainbow progress keeper from Charmed and Dangerous. Oh my gosh. If you hear little yips, my dog Aria is sleeping and it's adorable. Yeah, she's so tough in her dreams. Anyway, but this is my little rainbow because it's Pride Month. Yay, Pride Month. So this is the month when everything rainbow happens. But the thing is that it should happen all year round because it's insane, like, especially right now, like how many laws are being passed that are so transphobic and like how much hate is still happening in the world. Like I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. Like it's crazy. It blows my mind that the fact that the LGBTQ community was just included in the Civil Rights Act um, within the last 3 years. And that act was created in 1965. Like, the fact that it was legal to discriminate against people based on their sexual preference and gender up until like 3 years ago, like, that's crazy to me. Like, oh my goodness. It just blows my mind. Like, we have so far to go still. And if you are able to, definitely go to your Pride events. We had a couple Pride events this week, went to those and went to support because, as some of you know, I'm in a same-sex couple and Pride is very important for me and people in my community. So definitely go out and support this month if you can. Anyway, so I'm a little rainbow for Pride Month. Love it. And this is coming along. So I finished the first color. I'm into the second color. And yeah. Gonna have another habitation throw, and it's also in my rainbow bag, so it all works out for Pride Month. But again, in this house, it's Pride Month 365 days a year. Because we be gay up in here. That's what we do. Anyway. Next. WIP. I've been working on my crochet blanket. My goal is 1 stripe at least between podcasts. So I crocheted the black stripe. Let me see if I get my little bird stitch marker, also from Charmed and Dangerous, and one of her donut clubs. So I crocheted the black stripe and the maroon stripe across. So again, this is a fingering away advent that I got from Bumblebee Acres, like, I don't know, I think it was during COVID, so COVID lockdown, so it was like 2020. It was either 2020 or 2021. Can't remember. COVID was a big thing then, but yeah. So crocheted a little bit on that. Again, just trying to do a stripe or two between podcasts. But I need to find the rest of the advent because I'm gonna run out of yarn pretty soon that I'd balled up for the original pattern that came with it. It came with like a cowl pattern, but I started knitting it and I just didn't like it. Like, it didn't look good together. Like, the colors just didn't work for me together, and the order that they went, it just, I don't know. I didn't like the way, I didn't like the actual pattern and what it looked like because it was a mystery, so I couldn't see it before I started knitting it. So I was knitting it and I was just not liking the way it came out. So I ripped it out. But yeah, it's a Harry Potter advent from Bumblebee Acres, and the colors don't really go together, but it's fine. So I'm just going to use them for this project because I don't really care what colors I put in there. So, because it's just going to be a random, scrappy one, and I just want to use up my advents. So it'll work out. It'll be all good. I just need to find that advent. It's somewhere. We have this little room in our attic that's finished. So part of our attic is finished and part of it isn't. And it's in the little part of our attic that is finished, but it's in a container somewhere with some other advents. I'm not sure where that container is right now, or if I can get to it right now because it might be sort of buried. Don't know. So I'll have to look. So that might be going into hibernation a little bit until I have a chance to dig through those totes. What else? Another blanket. Oh my gosh, so many blankets on the go that I'm working on is my coziest memories. Just working up my my scraps. So I've added this square and this square, which were both part of my Slipstravaganza shawl by Stephen West. That was the MCAL from 2021, right? Yeah, because 2022 was the one with all the chevron things. Yeah, so 2021. So this is my leftover from making that shawl, and I still have a little bit left, so there'll be more squares of this in here. But again, just trying to keep this going between episodes so that I'm adding at least a little bit on the days when I just want to work on scrappy projects, and to use up the rest of the yarn so that I don't have all this random yarn just laying around. Because occasionally I do finish things. So imagine that. I was just talking to these two ladies that are part of my knitting group. So we have a knitting group at the library here. And so I go every Monday night, and we were talking, I was like, yeah, I finished my shawl, and I finished my collar crop top, and they were like, what's that like to finish things? They're like, we don't finish things, we just start things, and then we buy more project bags and start more things. And I was like, that's one way to, like, that would just, I don't know. Like, I like having a lot of projects on the needles, which is, I know that I have more projects on the needles than some people prefer. But if I just, like, kept adding, like, I don't, like, I feel like that would stress me out. But she was so funny. She's like, I would do a scrappy project, but that would mean that I would have to finish things. And I don't do that. So just like I was like, when was the last time you finished something? And she was like, honestly, I don't remember. I was like, oh my gosh, like how? Like how do you never finish anything? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I'm like, I will keep like um my girlfriend always makes fun of me because I'm a Taurus. So I'm just like so like I will finish this. Like just so stubborn, like I will make this happen. Even if I just do a little bit every week. It will happen eventually. Like, I don't know. But yeah, it was so funny. She was like, yeah. Like, I feel like there's just like three types of knitters, right? There's like the ones that only work on one project at a time and finish that project before they moved on to something else. There's the ones like me who have many projects going and they occasionally finish one of them because they're constantly working on those projects um, until they finish them and then they add another one. And then there's the ones that like never finish anything and they're just constantly like adding project banks and projects to their like their WIP and their UFO pile and they just never ever get to like never ever finish anything or it's super rare when they do. I don't know. I was just like I don't know, it just blew my mind. I was like how? Like I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But anyway, I digress. And then last but not least, I have a new cast on. So I cast off and finished that shawl. So now I can do a new cast on. So my new cast on is the Melting Marl blanket by Stephen West. I almost said shawl, but it's Melting Marl blanket by Stephen West. I have only just started. So it starts off. Okay. No. Hold on. I'll grab the stitches. It's only 3, so we're good. Okay. So, can we talk about how this starts? Like, I haven't even started the blanket yet, and it starts off by saying basically make an I-cord that's 400 stitches long. I'm like, bro. Like, I know it'll look nice at the end, but right now, it's just painful. Like, it's so boring. Making I-cords is so boring. Like, I really want one of those, like, machines where you can just crank it out. You know what I mean? Like, like this is so boring. But we'll get there. I'm 150 in. So I've got, like, 250 left, more or less. So we'll get there. Now, this project, so it's a melting marl shawl because in reality, what you're supposed to do, okay, I'm not doing what you're supposed to do, so don't follow my example unless you want to, I don't know, unless you want to do what I'm doing. So the original basically has you using up scraps or has you using up like single skeins of fingering weight. So you hold 2 fingering weights uh, strands at the same time. So basically you're getting a DK weight. Or you do 1 fingering strand and 2 lace weight strands at the same time. Now, I'm not doing that because, first of all, if you have to tink back, it's a hot mess doing it with multiple strands. Excuse me. Second of all, because I don't, it's a pain. Like you have to wind up like twice as much yarn, and it's just I just didn't want to do it. Honestly, just didn't. And because so this is gonna be for my niece, and she said I let her look at yarn online on Knit Picks. was like, hey, pick out your yarn. And she picked out this yarn. Well, I picked out this yarn because I was like, I just want to deal with one strand. Just going to be honest with you. And so she picked the pattern. And I told her, I was like, okay, I want you to pick a DK weight yarn. So we picked Swish DK because it's soft from Knit Picks. And she wanted this one, which is Eggplant. And she wanted the blue. Let me grab one. This blue, which is called Dusk. Yeah, it's picking up. Yeah, it's picking up pretty good. So, Knit Picks over Memorial Day. Memorial Day? Labor Day? Memorial Day. Yep. I always get them confused. Whatever. Anyway, so over Memorial Day, they had a sale where if you spent like so much money, then you got like $30 off, and then they had certain types of yarn on sale. So, like that were already marked down. So I got these for on sale, and then I got the additional sale for spending like X amount of money. So I basically bought like half of what I need for this blanket. So this blanket takes 2,400 yards of yarn. So I got 13 balls of the eggplant and 13 balls of the blue, of the dusk colorway, so that I can at least get started, because originally I was going to wait until their big summer sale to get it, but then I thought, I don't know if I want to wait that long. So while they're having a sale now, I'll go ahead and get these items. I saved like $61 or something purchasing it the way that I did. So I was like, I'm going to go ahead and just order these and get this started so that I've got it on my needles, because this is for my other niece. And so I told both of my nieces I'd make them a blanket for Christmas. So I made the habitation throw for one of my nieces, and I'm going to make this blanket for the other one. But the other niece is much older than the first niece, so her blanket needs to be bigger because she's physically bigger. And so it can grow with her if she has any more growing left to do. So I want to go ahead. Plus, she's always cold and she likes to burrito. So I want to make sure that this blanket is going to be big enough for her. So I want to go ahead and get it started so that I'm not cutting myself short on the blanket length because I ran out of time. Also because Lord knows that the ADHD is strong with this one, and I cannot work on the same project every day for all day every day. Like I just can't. Like I'm so bored. And it's just like I get so bored and I'm just like, no. I cannot do it. Just no. So, yeah. So I wanted to go ahead and get started. So this I'm going to be finishing up hopefully today. I'll finish up the I-cord. Just take a couple hours and knock it out. And then start the actual blanket tomorrow. So that'll be picking up, I think it's 382, whatever it is, 400 stitches. So that'll be interesting. So we'll see how that goes. But that's coming together. Also in my rainbow bag. Loving the rainbow theme today. And it's actually Star Wars on the inside, though. It's like a rainbow Darth Vader, but you can't really see it because there's like 26 balls in here. So you can't see anything at the bottom of the bag because it's so full. That is it for my WIPS. And then I do have one more project that I'm working on, but it's a secret. And I can't share it on the podcast. Sorry, because it's going to be a new design. So I am making my first design. Yay! It's happening! I'm like, yay, it's happening! I don't know when it will be available. My goal is for this fall because I still need to finish putting it into a computer program. I need to finish tech editing it, and I need to finish knitting it. Like, I haven't knit the whole pattern yet. So, still working on that, but that's secret knitting that you will see eventually. But I'm also working on that in the background. So, that is what I've been knitting on. As far as yarn coming in, we had the 26 skeins for that blanket for my niece. And then Hedgehog Fibers came out with a new color of their Tweety. So this is called Moonlight. And this is their Tweety base that has recycled wool, and it also has, how do they put it in here? Thread waste. Hedgehog fiber thread waste. So it's got all these different colors in it. If you can see that through the plastic. And then this one is called Dragonfly, and I just got it because it's beautiful. And I couldn't pass it up. So it's just, this is just on their sock base. So it's like 90% merino wool and then 10% nylon. And then the Tweety base is 50% Falkland merino wool, 37.5% recycled wool, and 12.5% hedgehog fiber thread waste. So there are those. All the way from Ireland. Beautiful. I did buy them directly from Hedgehog Fibers too. I didn't buy them from our retail, so they actually did come from Ireland. So that is all of my WIPs and all of my knitting. It seems like a lot, but then when I added it up, it didn't really seem like that much. So with all of my knitting, so as far as yarn in, I have 400 grams of hedgehog fibers and then 1,300 grams of knit picks, because there's 26 balls, 50 gram balls. So it's 1,300 grams altogether. So it's 1,700 grams between the two. As far as yarn out, I knit 25.58 grams on my slip stravaganza blanket. I knit 4.72 grams on the I-cord for that melting marl blanket. 10 grams, so 2 squares of my coziest memories blanket. 24.71 grams of the 2 stripes on the granny stripe blanket. 49.19 grams for those 2 dishcloths. 10.42 grams of my habitation throw. And then altogether it was 130 grams. Well, 132 grams for the shawl, the Juliet shawl. But without the shawl, it's 124.62 grams. I didn't keep track of how much it was, how much I actually knit these 2 weeks, which is why it's not in there. Of the Juliet shawl, I just remember trucking through and just getting it done. So, yeah, so a little bit of a difference between the 1,700 grams coming in, but we knew that. I had already planned ahead and said that it was fine that yarn was coming in for the blanket. The hedgehog fiber stuff, like, not so much, but whatever. I'm okay at 400 grams versus 124.62 grams. So we're not going to count the blanket. We're just going to count the hedgehog fibers. So altogether, it would be 275.38 gram difference positive going into the stash. Like I said, there's a little bit more coming out of the stash because of the secret project that I haven't included in there, but that's basically what I've knit over the last couple of weeks. Now, as far as upcoming stuff for the podcast, the next podcast won't be for 3 weeks because I will be traveling and going out of town and doing things, so I will not be available to podcast. But I will be in 3 weeks, so look for that. And then as far as upcoming things, I do have some things planned. I've been reaching out to a few different places and a few different people to do things like interviews and shop tours and those types of things. So be looking for that coming up in July and August on the channel. So you'll be seeing those a couple weeks after they actually happen. So that's exciting. And that is all I have for this 2 weeks. I hope that you all are safe and that you're healthy and everything is going well for you. And I hope that you're having a wonderful summer. I will see you again, like I said, in 3 weeks. And I hope that you're having great knitting luck and happy knitting, everybody. Bye.